Are you struggling to make your vintage samples sound authentic? Well, in this video, I'll be breaking down how to make authentic vintage samples. And this is just a preview of the final sample. So the first sound I started off with was this Wing Tac Piano vinyl preset from Omnisphere, and I was just messing around on my MIDI keyboard and I came up with this progression, and I'll just play that by itself. And a little music theory behind this is that these four chords, or these four notes, are a E minor seventh, and a lot of soul music uses sevenths and stuff. And another tip for you is when you have a chord progression, try switch up the root note. So it's not like, say you have an E minor, don't use E. Try use like in this case, there's C as the root note and then B to add a bit of tension, but just mess around with the root notes and see what you come up with. But the only effect I had for this was an EQ to cut out this. There was a super harsh frequency that I didn't like, so I just cut that out. After I came up with that, I knew I wanted to keep going with that vintage theme. So I went back into Omnisphere, onto Keyscape, and what I did was I went into Keyscape, so Keyscape library, and then I just searched up vinyl, and this was one of the presets, so I was just using everything from the vinyl section on Omnisphere, or Keyscape, I guess. And so this preset is a Wing upright vinyl vibrato, and it's just playing these notes. And once again, I played that in with my MIDI keyboard, so you've got that human feel to it. But if you don't have access to a MIDI keyboard or you can't play it live, but what I would recommend is coming up to here, this little arrow, coming down to tools, and then click humanize. I love this feature. Then just mess around with the settings and then just hit accept. And that's just gonna, as the tool says, humanize your MIDI. So instead of everything, all the notes playing the same length, it's gonna like shorten the notes, have different velocities, strum your notes, stuff like that. It's just a go-to gem that I found out recently. And no effects on that, I just panned it to the left because the next instrument is also from Omnisphere. It's the Harmochord vinyl vibrato, and it's playing the same exact notes as the previous instrument, and this is what that sounds like. But what I did is I just didn't copy and paste it. I actually played it live on my MIDI keyboard just so there's a bit of differences. Some notes are going to hit quicker, some notes are going to be longer, just to give that, once again, human feel to it. And for the effects, I just added a EQ to, once again, cut out a harsh frequency that I didn't like. And then I panned it to the right. So the instrument you heard before is panned to the left, and this one is panned to the right. And the main piano is mono, so it's in the middle. So it just gives room to the instruments. Then I think the next sound I added for a bit of like percussion is this percussion loop from All You Need Sounds. It's just super basic. This is just what that sounds like. Yeah, nothing too crazy. I just wanted that as a bit of like percussion. Then I went on to Splice because I knew if you have a vintage sample, you're gonna have vocals. So I came across this vocal from Splice, and I'll just play that now. I love how that sounded, kind of really fit in perfectly with the sample, especially when it's pitched up. Then I was just browsing through Splice again, and I found this like kind of accent that really fit the vibe, and this is just what that sounds like. It just accents the sample really well, and I love how it sounded. And no effects on that, but I'll explain that in a bit. Then I also went on to Splice, and I knew I wanted some like luxurious strings, so I came across this, and this is what that sounds like. Sounds beautiful in my opinion, and obviously I don't have access to a violin or any strings, so I just went on to Splice and used that. You gotta do what you gotta do. Then I knew I wanted to add like a brass instrument to have it more like anthemic, I guess, in a sense. So I went to Analog Lab and found the So Much Fun preset by Deets. And what I did is I just copied the chords and that added like little staccato hits here, and I'll just play that now. And with this, I did the humanize tool, as I said before, just to make it more human. And then lastly, it wouldn't be a soul sample without a bass. So what I did is I knew there was this one sound that Nami put out in one of his kits. That's kind of like a slide note. And I knew I wanted that. I found that, and this is just what that sounds like. But I just cut it short so then I could add my own bass. And I found this one bass from, once again, a Nami bass, the Nami bass sub. And all it's doing is it's playing the root notes and then with a couple short notes because it adds to the bounce and groove. And this is just what that sounds like. And it really fit the whole vibe of the sample, and it added just a bit of groove and a bit of bass, I guess. And so that's it for all the melodic instruments. And what I did is I routed everything except the bass to one mixer track, and I added a cassette just to add a bit of like texture and make it sound more vinyl with a clean tape preset. And then I added a Valhalla vintage verb with the mix turned down a ton, and I just changed the mode to room as if everything was recorded in the same room. Then I just routed that to another mixer track where the bass is also routed to, and I just added this effect track preset, the basic vintage punch. I love this preset. Then on the master, I added a sound shift to pitch it up 7, because a lot of the time now when you chop up a soul sample, you pitch it up, and that's the type of vibe that I was going for, so that's what I did. But anyway, like, comment, subscribe. Let me know if you learned anything. Let me know what type of videos you guys want to see. Follow me on Instagram at LouisOblin. Here's the final sample.